Hey everyone, this is Adam. For my discussion number 5, we have to do an observational study in a randomized experiment. Just a little background about, before you make a study, I was thinking in my head, I want my variables to be measurable and I want it to be relevant to me. I mean, it said interesting, but I think just relevant to your field would be good. So my research question has to do with eating breakfast. I know that sounds like probably not that interesting to a lot of people, but my school, my home school, back in my high school, there weren't a lot of people that even had the chance to eat breakfast, or if they did, they were completely reliant on the school to provide them with breakfast. So I think it's important. I think it really do, like if kids don't eat during the day, they really are just thinking about it, and it's taken away from their alertness or just their focus in general. So my research question is, does eating breakfast improve students' alertness or attentiveness while in school? Breakfast just being, the first meal of the day, what you'd have usually before you go. So for our observational study, we're just going to do a survey, just hand it out, like in class, not having to do anything besides just find a classroom, hand this survey out. The survey is going to ask, rate the students on a level of attentiveness during class. During this one class, I will say it's an hour and a half long, something between that. That's how long my classes were in high school. So we're going to ask them yes or no, did they eat breakfast, and rank themselves 1 to 5 on a scale of attentiveness. We can expect that this would give us some decent results based on whether or not breakfast has anything to do with how alert they are in their first class. I mean, this is a very affordable method. It's time efficient. All we had to do was just kind of find a class to go to and hand the survey out, and then they'll give us it back at the end of class, and then we have all our data. And you could identify the potential associations. So we could say, if there was a lot of people who didn't eat breakfast and a lot of people who weren't feeling very attentive, then we could draw an association, but we wouldn't be able to draw conclusions or causal relationships. It's not randomized. We didn't randomize the students. We just walked into one classroom, and so that could be a really advanced classroom or something along the lines. Maybe not really, or maybe a remedial class. These are all self-reported answers, so we don't know on my scale, where they really feel they find themselves under which number. So not as reliable as a randomized experiment, but we could expect some decent results, enough to maybe draw some associations. For the randomized experiment, however, we can do something a little more thorough. So my process for this one would be like outside of class, maybe in the halls or something, ask for students to become potential subjects in this study, this research experiment that has to do with breakfast. We offer prizes because kids would want to do something for a prize, maybe like a gift card, I don't know, something small, but that we could give out, probably $5 worth of something per person. So we'd want to set up this mock classrooms. So this will be more pricey, but we'll set up a mock classroom with a teacher to teach something about a random century in U.S. history. We'll just leave it up to the teacher, pick a random century, and have about 2 hours of material on that with a video in there somewhere. These kids are just going to be quizzed on comprehension. So their first block replaced, it's definitely going to need to be the first block because you'd eat school before breakfast. Sometimes you eat breakfast at school, but for this one we're going to say that their first block is going to be replaced. So maybe we'll need to compensate the school somehow as well, just to give us free for these students for this mock class. So at sign up, they're extracted not to eat anything. So we're going to have 20 students total. So don't eat anything before they come, and arrive 30 minutes earlier than they usually do. So 30 minutes before their first block. So there's going to be 10 kids that are provided with a breakfast once they get there 30 minutes early before that class starts. The other 10 are just going to wait and not eat anything. And we told them not to eat anything before that too. So we're thinking that those kids haven't had anything to eat all day or anything yet. So they'll be running on empty stomachs. So we can expect way more reliable results for this one. I mean, we totally randomized out of the 20 people that we had sign up, or when we maxed it out at 20. Let's we maxed it out at 20, and then with those 20 we randomized, which ones. 10 would eat breakfast randomly, 10 would not eat breakfast. So they're going to get a quiz after they take the 2-hour course, and like I said, there's going to be a video, and so there's going to be at least 3 questions about those video. Let's say there's 10 questions total out of a total of 10 points, so each question's worth 1 point, and then there's 3 just involving very visual details, very like something you need to be really attentive for, completely focused in the video. And it's going to be graded out of 10 points, but just all about comprehension, not about any analysis or anything you'd need to maybe have an upper level of intelligence for, just mere comprehension, following of data, following of information, and being able to remember that on the quiz. So in the blue columns we have the students. Each student is a colored bar, so all the blue bars represent a student that ate breakfast. And all the orange bars represent a student that didn't eat breakfast, so you can see that overall the students that ate breakfast are performing at a higher level and they touch a higher score, as well as the students who didn't eat breakfast, they touch the minimum. So the max being a student who ate breakfast at a 9 out of 10, and the lowest at a student didn't eat breakfast at a 4 out of 10. So we could draw an association with that there might be some association with breakfast and attentiveness to detail, but from the most part these scores were pretty much the same. So there are pros to these randomized experiments. I mean, that is more reliable data since we set it up ourselves. We assigned the students rather than just walked in and observed. We assigned them roles randomly once we had the students. So these are reliable details, but there's variables that we don't know, like how much sleep that the student got, how intelligent they are normally. We didn't do any retrospective type studies to look up more about their past and past performance, what have you. But these randomized experiments, they're random. We chose everything random. They're replicable, so we could replicate it with different students. Just do this, with a bunch of students, so many, maybe the whole school, and total or out of a whole district, to pick 20 students from each school or something like that, and then replicate it a bunch and see, if there really is an association, a deeper association, maybe a causal relationship with breakfast and attentiveness. We can just control them, since we're assigning roles. There's controls like, we chose the people who were going to eat breakfast, and we chose the people who weren't. And so you could draw conclusions, but these randomized experiments, they're more expensive. We had a lot more things we had to set outside. We have to do this outside of, take time from these students' schedules in the school. It'd be possible they wouldn't even let us do it at first block, so we'd have to do it on a weekend or something and give kids more money. And it's just time consuming. Organizing all these details would be way more time consuming. But potential limitations for this study, not always can we make sure how much a student has slept the night before. We didn't have their background details that we needed to really make sure, if we could have had technically the same aptitude of student, 20 of them come into the same room, and then measure if breakfast played a detail, then that would be a more thorough study. But we're assuming that these students are all around the same performance level generally, and so breakfast is our factor, our variable that we're changing, our control. So it's limited to that. We don't have the background information of the students, and we don't know how much sleep they got, which is definitely a factor that plays into attentiveness. But overall, I think this randomized experiment would be much more thorough and provide better results than the observational study, although this experiment would cost more and take more time. So there's my example for an experiment and an observational study.